Bay Wildlife Reserve. While we're at the reserve, I do ask you guys to remain fully
It's
seated at
okay,
all
he was
times. Keep your
okay.
hands on feet like inside the vehicle. Please be sure to watch your kids. If anybody gets something personal items with you, please make sure they are safely stowed away. There's be a lot of uneven terrain we're going over today. We do not want anybody to fall over in those roads or lose anything. Now, if you're using a camera, that is perfectly fine. Just make sure it stays inside the vehicle at all times, because if anything is dropped into the reserve, we will not be able to stop and retrieve it. And since animals are naturally curious, you most likely will not be getting those items back. But if you do happen to drop something, please let me know, and I'll let our reserve warden know, so there's a small chance we get that item back for you. We are now entering the Little Ituri Forest, which is a very densely packed forest full of vegetation and wildlife. A lot of the animals in this forest like use camouflage to their advantage to try to remain hidden, so keep your eyes out, guys. Might see an animal or two wandering amongst the trees. Now here on our left-hand side, we are going to see a saddle-billed stork. It gets its name from the very distinctive yellow saddle shape that it has on its bill. They're one of the larger species of storks in the world, being around 5 feet tall as adults with a 9-foot wingspan. The males of that species have dark brown eyes, females bright yellow eyes, and they actually communicate with each other by rattling their bills. Now, it is worth mentioning that above your heads will be a handy animal spotting guide that's going to help you identify any of the animals we may see out here in the reserve today. While we're out in the reserve, you guys are going to have a chance of seeing some of the most iconic animals from Africa, such as hyenas, wildebeest, hippos, maybe even a giraffe, elephant, or even a lion. Now, you notice I did say you have a chance of seeing those animals. You are not guaranteed to see every single handy animal in that handy animal spotting guide. But we've been having some pretty good spotting so far today, so we'll have to keep our eyes open, see what we can find. Speaking of which, over here on our left-hand side is actually going to be a black rhino. Now, black rhinos are very large, even around 3,500 pounds. They can actually get charging to 35 miles per hour. They are critically endangered due to poaching for their horns that they have on their head. There's only about 5,000 of them left in the world because of that. Now, the poachers believe that those horns have a scientific or medicinal value, which is actually false. They're made out of a material called keratin, which is the same material that our fingernails are made out of. So, unless you're a rhino, you've got no use for a rhino. These beautiful rose-colored animals here on our left-hand side are called bongos. Bongos are commonly called the goats of the forest due to their reclusive nature. Both males and females of the species have those horns on their head, with the males being significantly larger, usually around 36 inches long. Alright, I'm not seeing anything else here in the forest, so we're going to go and move over into the Sofie River, which is where we tend to see some more wildlife. Before I picked you guys up, the warden gave me a tip to look for shadows in the water, indicating there could be something out here. So, keep your eyes open, everybody. You never know what you're going to see in these waters. It looks like actually towards the back end of the truck on our right-hand side, we're going to see a Nile hippopotamus. Kind of hard to see back there. Nile hippopotamus are very large, being around 5,500 pounds. They can actually stay underwater for around 8 minutes at a time, even while sleeping.
What is that? They're probably doing this.
Looks like there are a few more hippos over on our left-hand side. A small bloat of them. A bloat is what we call them.
Oh, it's right there.
And the gray and white birds you see there on the island are called pink-backed pelicans. Maybe you're thinking, Nick, you just said they're gray and white, right? They're called pink-backed pelicans. Well, they get that name for very distinctive pink colorations get on their back during mating season. You can think of it almost like they're blushing. Hippos are herbivores. They only eat plants. But they do have very large tusks in their mouths that they use for defense. Those tusks are actually self-sharpening. Every time they open and close their mouths, they scrape against one another, sharpening themselves.
Oh, a hippo!
And they are commonly called river horses because they sometimes will not swim through the water. They'll actually just gallop along the bottom of the riverbed. I'm not seeing too much else here. We're going to check a couple more spots up ahead in the river and then head out onto the savannah.
Oh, that was close. Oh my God, that's ugly.
I don't want to get too close.
That's beautiful.
Very cool, guys. If you look over on our left-hand side, we're going to see some Nile crocodiles.
Ooh, look at the crocodile.
The Nile crocodile are very large, even around 15 feet long, 500 pounds. They will typically attack anything they come across, including animals much larger than themselves, including wildebeest or even zebras. They use their powerful jaws to grind up every part of their prey, including the bones, eating everything up to half their body weight in one sitting. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Now, the best way to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile is by their snout. Alligators have a U-shaped snout. Crocodiles have a V-shaped snout. Now, like I said, we're going to go and head out onto the savannah, where during the past few days have seen some animal migration happening. So, with any luck, we'll still see some animals out wandering around today. Now, coming up here on our right-hand side, we're going to see a baobab tree. Baobab trees are commonly called upside-down trees due to the fact that it looks kind of like it's upside down. It is not upside down, however, those are its branches. They typically remain leafless for around 9 months out of the year to help them conserve water.
Wow.
Those trees act sort of like giant gourds. They can hold thousands of gallons of water inside of them. And during the warmer times of the year, it's common to see animals walk through those trees and bite at them and try to get water out, giving it the nickname the Tree of Life. Now, out here on the savannah is a very large, successful ecosystem. Because of the successful ecosystem, we tend to see a large variety of wildlife. Let's use the animal spotting guide to our advantage. Let's see different types of animals we can spot today. Now, you're going to notice a lot of the trees out here trimmed almost to the exact same length on the bottom side. That's usually a pretty good indicator of how tall the tallest giraffe is. They like to use their great height as well as their long prehensile tongues to gather food from the bottom of the trees. Prehensile means they can actually use their tongues to pick up and gather food. Now, those tongues are about 18 inches long, which is long enough to wrap around your forearm about 3 times. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm speaking from experience. Alright, very cool. If you look over on our left-hand side in that rock den there, you're going to see a pack of African wild dogs.
Ooh, they right there.
The dogs, with the very beautiful coats that they have on them. They are very successful pack hunters, being successful 4 out of the 5 times they go hunting. Now, they are actually not related to the canine species we keep as pets. They're a completely different family altogether, having only 4 toes in each paw instead of the normal 5, and they also have never been domesticated.
Yeah, we don't see the giraffe too. What is that?
Now, the small white, brown, and white creatures you see over on our right-hand side are called Springbok. Springbok get their name from the ability to repeatedly spring up to 6 feet into the air whenever they feel threatened or very excited. That action is called pronking, and many different types of animals can do that. They are some of the fastest animals on the planet, reaching speeds around 50 to 60 miles per hour and leaping 10 to 16 feet forward in a single bound. They can actually spring 12 feet forward from a standstill. Now, the large rock-like structures that are around the truck are not actually rocks, they are termite mounds. These termite mounds can be around 15 feet tall and are as hard as concrete. Some of the larger animals on the reserve like to use them as scratching posts, which is why the one on the right-hand side is so worn down. Some of the smaller animals like to use them as lookout posts, climbing up to the top to try to spot any predators that may be lurking nearby. Not seeing too much else around here. Coming up on our left, we are going to see another Springbok though, so for those of you on the left side of the truck, you're going to get a good look at them back there. You'll be able to see one here.
Something wrong with my phone.
It does look like just up ahead, once we make it around the next couple of turns, there's going to be a few more animals. I think I see some wildebeest wandering around.
Wildebeest. Oh, look at that boo-boo.
Alright, so once we do make it around this turn, we're actually going to see a white-bearded wildebeest. It looks like there's also some Ankole cattle just up ahead here. They're going to be kind of hard to see, but they are going to be on the right-hand side of the vehicle.
Is that Ankole cattle? And the wildebeest right there, you see it, Kobe?
white-bearded wildebeest are some of the largest groups of migrating animals in the world. To 1.5 million that will migrate between 500 and 1,000 miles across the span every year. And the term wildebeest does literally translate to wild beast. You can see the wildebeest kind of lying there in the dirt, trying to cool off there. Just behind that patch of bushes there. And then right in that group of trees, you can see some horns sticking out. Those are the Ankole cattle. Now, commonly called Watusi cattle, after the tribe that first domesticated them, the Watusi tribe. These are the only domesticated animals we're going to see on the reserve today. They're known for the very large curved horns on top of their head, which are usually 3 to 5 feet in length, sometimes getting up to 6 feet long, both males and females.